Right, there you go.
You're live.
Alright, probably give some minutes, but
Looks
how's
like
been
some
your day?
folks have joined. There we go.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry about that.
no worries. Thank you so much, Colette. Um, really appreciate for, accepting to be part of, Pipeline Insights live session, and, yeah, probably we give some more minutes. How was your day so far?
Pretty good. Yeah, thanks, Serpent, for having me on the Pipeline to Insights live. It's Tuesday afternoon for me, Wednesday morning for you. Uh,
Right.
Day has gone well. It's towards the end of my work day here. Uh, as I support the East Coast, some folks there of the United States, so I start pretty early. But, yeah, it's going well. How was your morning so far? I know it's bright and early for you.
Yes, a bit cold,
Oh, yeah.
that here is winter, and, I already have 2 coffees, so hopefully
Okay. Very
not
good.
too
Very
sleepy.
good.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, and for those who are just joining, so I am in the United States, but I actually was recently in Australia just about a month ago, and I too experienced winter down there, not realizing. Thinking in my mind it's summer as I'm used to in the northern hemisphere, and I got down there and had to get a jacket for myself. So, but it wasn't too bad. It was pleasant.
Beautiful. You only visited Sydney, I assume. Yeah,
Only
hope
Sydney. Yeah, I want to go more places next time.
yes, of course, and Melbourne, including Melbourne.
Melbourne, yes.
Yes. Again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining, our live session, for your time, and, if you're from Australia, good morning. If you're from US, good afternoon, and, as you know, for those who don't know, actually, we had a collaboration with Colette about the human layer of technical work. I'll share the link with this post later today. Um Colette kindly accepted to come live with us and answer any questions you have. So feel free to ask any questions during our conversation. Uh, just we can put it in the chat. And yeah, we're gonna discuss more about the topics we cover and some other topics that I personally think is and experience it and yeah, gain more insights, valuable insights from Colette and her experience. So yeah, today, as I said, we are talking about something we discuss nearly enough. We don't actually discuss nearly enough in technical teams: communication, influence, emotional intelligence, and how those skills become even more important in the age of AI. And I'm very happy to have Colette with us today. Thank you so much again, Colette. And over to you if you want to give some more background about yourself, Colette.
Yeah, very fun. Thank you so much for having me on a Pipeline to Insights, and good morning to you if you're in Australia, New Zealand, a bunch of Asia Pacific, or well, good afternoon to you if you're in North America, where I am in the U.S. or Canada, perhaps even Mexico, all North America, and we might even have some late night listeners in Europe, perhaps. Just to introduce myself, Colette Molteni. I write Empathy Elevated. I've been on Substack for a little bit over a year and a half. And I have been working in data analytics for over a decade, primarily in software as a service. Right now, I focus actually more globally. I was recently not too far from Irfan down in Australia, working with one of my teams down there to process math and work towards AI enablement with that team. Little bit of background about me too and Empathy Elevated. I write on the topic, the We're often introduced with emotional intelligence, communicating with one another, influencing without necessarily having that authority, which many of us can find ourselves in, especially if we work in the data and process space. And I write about these topics really from the perspective as a more technical person, somebody who maybe just reading the fluff, it's not necessarily going to work for us. We need a system. I've heard it called like a mental model, a framework, or something that we can apply. So, brief
Beautiful,
intro of me. Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah, as I said, feel free to ask any questions about uh, anything, especially our topics. We are here to answer those as well. Um, and thanks for the introduction, Colette. You have technical background over 12 years in analytic processing, process engineering, Learn Six Sigma. What's the thing you wish you'd known earlier that you now uh, teach?
Yeah. I think something I would have wished I known earlier is what I'm very passionate about now on the topic of emotional intelligence and communication. I've been in this space for quite a long time, right, with technical type work. And I actually started my career working in insurance. If you live North America, Geico Insurance, the gecko who has actually an Australian accent. Interesting. Uh, although I have an American accent, so there you go. But I started I started there, and I started in more of like a rotational program out of college to understand the business in terms of underwriting and sales even. Yes, I did sales. I was actually decent at it, not my favorite, but I was decent at it, listening to people. And early in that time in my career, I was provided a book from a mentor of mine at the time, Emotional Intelligence 2.0. And he suggested, hey, this is something that you should look into, you should consider reading. So I did read it. And I did find some aspects of it very useful in terms of give different things that I could apply, but I found quite a bit of it, fluffy or not necessarily knowing how to apply it to my more technical role. So while I took a few things, quite honestly, it collected dust for many years out in my garage. Now, uh, I did pick it back up a few years ago. I mean, I think like a lot of us during COVID, there was more time to think during that time of isolation and reflecting and even looking at the trajectory of my career. I grabbed that book out of the garage where it was collecting dust. And ultimately, I began to read through, comb through, see how I could apply some of these theories or fluffy information to make myself a better communicator. Because I realized ultimately success in my career and even in my personal life, it wasn't going to be just from those hard skills that I had gained on my resume or listing on my LinkedIn, but also the very human element of it. And with the rise of AI, now that can handle so much of the hard skills and coding and some of the things I was doing completely manually years ago, it's going to be even more pertinent to have that human element.
Beautiful. And if I'm not mistaken, you correct me if I'm right. This is a PACE system
Ah,
uh, you created, which is the intersection of emotional intelligence, human AI partnership. Can you walk us through what does PACE stands for and how technical professional would apply to it?
yeah, absolutely. The PACE system, I'm really glad you brought that up. And I do have I'll call it like a flagship post. I think I've flagged it towards the top. If you go to Empathy Elevated, free post, you can read about it. Whoever's watching this, but in a nutshell, PACE stands for pause, ask, consider, empathize. With the idea, this is a system, 4 steps, very easy, and pace. Essentially, think of it like I'm going to pace myself. That's how I like to think of it. And um, let's walk through what those steps are. So, pause first. You take that pause when you hear something, or maybe your inclination is to react. to something, which I'm sure we've all received one of those emails or been told something in a meeting that we want to have a reaction immediately, but that might not necessarily be conducive. In addition, I ask is the next thing where you ask to get clarifying questions. Next is consider, where you work to consider what the other person is going through, what they're thinking, their perspective. And then empathize, the last step being really not one you necessarily act on, but for most of us, will come rather instinctively with following those steps in advance. How does this come into play here with being a technical professional? It comes into play, I mean, in various situations. It's certainly not applicable to all situations. But I have found this combination over time to be pretty effective overall. A good example, I'll put you, let's dive into that email example, right?
Mm.
Perhaps you get an email that seems to be questioning the nature of your work and the data that you have provided, rather than questioning the data itself and looking for introspection in terms of, okay, where's the data coming from? Or did we really just not make this target number or something else? Uh, it becoming more of a critique of questioning on your accuracy or if you made a mistake. Now, I think the natural inclination for a lot of us would be maybe to defend ourselves, or at least mentally, we're feeling that way. Like, I didn't do anything wrong. But the first step here, it really is to pause and take a step back and not to jump to assumptions, not to just react, even though that is tempting. The ask part is to ask clarifying questions. Don't assume, ask. Try to find out if you're unclear what they're trying to get to or what the output or the answer that they're looking for. Feel free to ask and do so in a way that is open ended and out of general curiosity. And consider where they are coming from. Perhaps this is a leader who is maybe not very technical, or they don't understand data, or they don't understand how data warehouses or cleaning an ETL layer works. They don't understand. maybe maybe they think you're just putting the number up there on the screen, which truth be told, I actually have had that experience where somebody did assume that I was manually plugging the number in there on a Tableau dashboard, which was not at all the case. It was coming from a series of workflows in the background. And through that, your empathy does flow. Uh, is is this applicable to every single situation you'll run into? No, absolutely not. But quite a few that we run into where we are communicating and working with different teams, it is a common methodology that can be used. See, again, the PACE system: pause, ask, consider, empathize.
Love it, love it. Yeah, this is really good. By the way, share in the chat, share with us in the chat if you have similar situation in the job, or you want to learn more, and
Mhm.
feel free to ask questions. And don't forget to subscribe to Colette Substack, uh, Empathy Elevated, for more insights on this. Yeah, I love this.
And if you don't remember that, Colette Molteni, my name. I think I am the only Colette Molteni in the world. So I have a unique name. I have not
Yeah,
found another one yet.
beautiful. Yeah, and yeah, thank you so much. Personally, I like PACE, or PACE, or PACE
Yeah.
system.
Nice.
Sorry, PACE system. Yeah, and thanks for the great examples. Um, in terms of influence, most technical professionals constantly need to influence product managers, executives, non-technicals. I think you mentioned that, probably working with non-technical people that don't understand. Um, how do you build that influence when you have no formal authority?
Yeah. There's a few ways to do it, and this is a very common scenario that we run into, right? As technical professionals, whether we're working with data, processes, engineering, whatever your title is. But when you're in this technical role, you will be frequently communicating with folks who you have to influence or you need to be able to get past a blocker. One of the things that I definitely recommend, number one, with these folks you're working with, or you know you're going to be working with on a frequent basis, you're entering a project, perhaps they're in a department that you work in parallel very closely with, building that relationship to start before you really do need something. Being that person who is easy to work with. Now, I want to
Mhm.
caveat this does not mean you say yes to everything. I have written plenty about this on Empathy Elevated. This does not mean that, oh, I'm going to empathize with this person. So I'm just going to say yes to everything they ask me and I'll stay up till midnight and work on everything they ask. No, absolutely not. But being easy to work with in terms of being open and listening and understanding their concerns, being curious, taking that time to ask them questions and show genuine interest. When somebody has built that relationship with you up front, it is much easier when you actually need something or you're trying to move the needle with something to get past a blocker to have that done for you, even though it might not show up in perhaps like a performance review or in some other mechanism. Um, Build that relationship ahead of time. And if you have limited time to build the relationship, perhaps you are just meeting somebody, find common ground with them first. Do not jump right into the demand of their requests. Now, the caveat I give with this, depending on what culture you are working in, the context of whatever
Mhm.
culture you're working in, it could be different. I'll put that way. I mean, I know in North America, having a little bit of small talk that is advised. As much as I'm not a big small talker, having a little bit and finding some common ground before you talk to somebody can be a good thing versus just jumping right into your requests and making a demand. Irfan, I just want to ask you too, while I'm talking here, I'm hearing just a very light buzzing in my headphones. I want to make sure, do you hear that or anybody else? I want to make
Uh,
sure it's not a distraction for anybody.
yeah, can you
I'm
share in
I'm not
detail with
hearing it now. Yeah, I'm not
yeah,
hearing it now. I hear it just sometimes hit in my headphones. Never happened before.
no.
And of course, it happens on a live. But if anybody is hearing any type of light static sound as I talk, just speak up and I can quickly adjust my sound.
Yes, same here.
But
Same. Yeah, thanks for letting me know. Yeah. I apologize. Always not
no, no, it's mine. It's mine, clearly.
thank you. And yeah, you mentioned about the culture. I know you've been working with people in different countries, especially Australia. Can you also say how the work culture? How did you find the cultural differences between US and here?
Yeah. A few differences and honestly, like very welcome differences. I found just in the little bit of time I was able to work out of my company headquarters in Sydney. And I found that the nature of interaction, there was a lot more humor interjected into
Mhm.
a little bit more sarcasm, even between direct reports and their manager and leaders during conversation. And not just with like, specific people. I noticed this very much across the board. And I actually wound up talking to one of my counterparts when I was in Australia over during one of our dinners. And she reflected to me accurately. Yeah, yes, this is a thing. This is a thing in Australia work culture compared to the US. And she was really able to speak to that, having worked in the US herself for about, I believe, 2 years. So she did this back in the 20 teens, and she noticed the difference when she came to the US, how that was not the case with some people, yes, but less so across the board. So I welcome the humor. I mean, you have to have fun as you're going. I mean, we spend so much time at work and working with people and in our careers and our day to day. The other aspect that I notice there definitely is, and I'm very much an advocate of this, and even with my team here, I think here it varies a little bit team to team, but the element of work life balance, I think that's a little bit more part of the work culture in Australia, at least from what I heard and what I've observed. Here in the U.S., and I'm sure there's variance there as well, just like anywhere else, but in the U.S., I think there's a little bit more. I think a little bit less of that, I think, baked into being the norm. I know certainly with my teams and thankfully, my leadership team that I've worked with for the past few years, that is very much an emphasis to have that balance. So I very much appreciate that. I think we work better when we have that rest and we have the time to recharge, sleep, eat, spend time with loved ones and family. We come back recharged and able to be even more focused. So very much welcome that.
It's interesting. I'm glad. Amazing. And let's back to that influence. You know, pipeline to insights, followers or subscribers can be or could be seniors, aspiring data engineers, AI engineers, and so on. So my question is, how do you or how can we push back a bad technical decision made by someone senior without damaging our relationship?
That's a tricky one, right?
Mhm.
And it does happen where
Right.
somebody perhaps with more decision-making power makes a decision on a tool or something technical when, maybe you or, uh, one of your colleagues might have a better understanding of the technical implications downstream, the amount of tech debt that you're going to have or how it might break several dashboards, process, whatever else. But to your question about how you handle that, it depends, right, on the situation. I'm going to say as a generic and just how, I've handled this in the past. And this, honestly, I can tie this back to pace, right, with pausing, taking that moment to pause and absorb the situation. It might not be advisable to state your objections up front, right, in a meeting or in a forum of 10 people. It might be better to then talk to that person privately and maybe not even immediately right after that meeting. It might be better to pull them aside. Or if you need to make the case to them about why that decision should not be made, again, perhaps privately, but also gather some more evidence and do it in a way that they can understand. Have it in a way, perhaps, maybe even where it isn't just you. If you know there's several people on the team, instead of it being you and you becoming the problem, uh, stating the problem more collectively and what the challenge is ahead, really just being strategic about pushing back is what I would advise. Um, it's not that you can't push back. Usually in these situations, you can push back and the feedback would be welcome. In my experience, I have found when you do this strategically and you do it in that fashion, does it always change the outcome? No. But I've been able to change the outcome before doing this, or at least I can get myself, uh, get my opposition spoken for without damaging the relationship.
Correct. Um, what I also notice, my personal experience is, I think the way we talk about it, like communicate it, as you mentioned, also important, especially as someone who's if working in English country
Mm.
language. The language is the second English is their second language. Sometimes they want to say something, but it's hard to like put the words together, and then might uh, affect in different ways. So I myself personally think that all right, so I need to learn more of these communication skills, when to say what, how to say it. I think these are also important. I'm not sure. Do you agree with me, Colette?
Yeah, I think language too, and I say this, unfortunately, I have forgotten much of my other second language, of Japanese. I
Oh,
I
really?
spent my Yeah, I spent my childhood in Japan, and then I moved to the United States, and my native language is English, but, I mean, at one point in my life, I was bilingual, but it goes beyond language. It goes into what the words mean, the gravity of words, when words are said, expressions. Like I know satire, I know depending on the culture you're encountering, that can be challenging, right? For people either visiting or living um, in another country, or perhaps it's like a second language, even if you live somewhere. I think it is helpful, but or fun, I mean, truthfully, it's what, to your level of comfort and where you feel is going to enable your communication. I say don't change who you are. Don't change yourself. I mean, you're such a wonderful person to speak with every time. And Irv and I have been communicating for many months now. And I enjoy his writing on Pipeline to Insights. So I say, grow and develop in your communication with how you feel comfortable. And if there are certain like sayings or different, words or ways to express things you want to learn, of course, pursue them.
Thank
But
you so much.
yeah,
Thank you so
but
much.
and I say that too from as much as I'm a native English speaker. My country I grew up in was Japan, and I find some of even like my mannerisms or ways I like to communicate are still in some ways culturally Japanese, even though I'm speaking the words in English. But that's okay. It's me. It's unique. It's all right. So
100%. 100%. Yeah, thank you so much. It's really valuable. When someone, especially like you, providing feedback. And to our audience, if you also have any questions you want to share with me and Colette, getting feedback and learn more from Colette and our session, feel free uh, to join with us, to share with us. Thank you so much. And just referring to one of the examples you mentioned about showing a dashboard, the numbers are not correct, and then the stakeholders questioning. So, how do we need to build enough trust upfront? I think you kind of mentioned it, but we need to do it in advance so that when a result is surprising like this or in any other situation, people question their assumption, not our work or not.
Yeah, and this is a challenging one. And truly, if you've worked in data or presenting data in any fashion, I'm sure if you were to look around a room or virtually here, if you've worked in data, you've probably had that experience of being questioned about it. And the questioning being more about perhaps your ability or perhaps about like, oh, did you do this right? Not so much about the data itself, where it becomes a little bit more of a character assessment. It's a tough position to be in. Sometimes it takes repeated instances of this and breaking it down very simply, like the background, holding their hand through it. Um, I've had I've had that experience before of coming in, working with data and inheriting a team that was working with somebody analytical before who unfortunately was making mistakes. So that level of distrust was not really personal, but it was against, whoever was in that role essentially. So it took time. And my approach, it's going to vary for everybody, but my approach in that situation was not to get defensive, of course. And, the first few times to walk through and explain it, like, hey, we're on a call. I'm sharing my screen. Let me walk you through where this is coming from without getting into the background of, hey, here's how all these tables are joining and it's running through, SQL and these, like, not getting into all that, but being able to go back actually to the CRM and being able to point, hey, this number here, it's tallying right here, these records right here, this is where you're getting it from. Hey, let's dig in together. Do you know where one would maybe be off? Do you know where one be? And then like digging in together really is like a partnership. Uh, it did that make it immediately better? No, but it did lessen over time, being able to gain that trust was my experience.
I agree. Yeah, that's perfect. And let's talk about emotional,
Mm.
no reality of technical work, which comes every now and then. So, as technical people, we are trained to be rational and precise, but emotions show up anyway. I personally also experience. How do you, or how can we handle a moment at work where we feel genuinely overwhelmed or out of control?
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, it happens, I think, even to the best of us, even those who are cool, calm, and collected. I mean, we all have a certain limit to our cup. Some, and we all vary. Some people it doesn't take as much. Some people can take a lot until it's too much. Um, this ties me back to the PACE system and with taking that pause. The reality is, no matter how rational we are, and no matter how logic based we are, our human brains are designed for emotion first, even if it's a split second. We're going to feel the emotion first, or we're going to think the emotion before we get to that logical part of the brain that then tells us, no, Colette, don't send that email. Don't say that thing, or don't blurt it. You're thinking it, but don't say it
Exactly.
out
Makes
loud.
sense.
You know, or in the reverse, right? Training yourself with practice to do that and having that restraint to do it. Because truthfully, when the emotion passes within sometimes in mere seconds or within 1 to 2 minutes, which emotions do actually pass pretty quickly, they feel like they are there and sometimes in eternity. But a lot of these things, it is fluid. Your logic brain can kick in to be able to handle that situation in a logical manner, an effective manner with the output that you want, much like you would with your work that you do, whether it's process engineering, which I do a lot of, or modeling something in AI, and you're trying to build the workflow or building something with data, right? Data warehousing. It doesn't matter, but you can apply that same logic brain once you get past that initial instinctual uh, reaction emotionally.
That's correct. And I think again, now I'm thinking about the pace system. I think that's gonna be really helpful if you remember that pause, especially, and then uh, think about it. And I think you said sending that email, not sending that email, which kind of result in overthinking.
Hmm.
And I know that overthinking is a real trap, especially for high performers. You have a decision to make or you want to do something, you keep running scenarios. For example, for that email, shall I send it, leave it, how do I write it, and you can move. What breaks that loop, you think?
Yeah. What works for me is usually just taking a night to sleep on it. And then I have some clarity in the morning. Now, I know that that's not always an option. Perhaps you have a deadline or you have to get something in because somebody is about to be out of office, or even if it's not a strict deadline, you need to get it in by a certain time. Like I had this earlier where I had to submit a ticket in an internal queue because of timing, because we need something by Thursday, my time, midday, and I didn't want to delay it at all. Now, in this case, getting that together, taking again back to that pace system and moment of pause, even taking like 10 or 20 seconds, which is like pretty negligible, to just pause and focus maybe on something else or remove yourself, it can break that cycle, right? I mean, that part of what you're doing in sleep, taking a few deep breaths, get your blood pressure down, it will help when you're trying to make that decision. But given the choice, I do like to sleep on it for a night if I really am struggling through a situation and how to communicate. It does
Yeah,
wonders.
100%. So which means don't be patient, don't rush, and pause. That's good. It's
And
nice.
I know that can feel contradictory too in a world right now where everything is so instant, especially with AI. I mean, we can get all types of information at our fingertips just by going to our favorite LLM and asking a question. Not that it's always accurate, but we get information pretty instantaneously. So I know the temptation is there to fill the silence or immediately uh, tackle a problem. But often that urgency, we are putting it on ourselves. And taking that pause, I mean, can really work wonders for us to make a more logical decision and sound one that's for the good of ourselves and those around us as well, whether it's for the work itself or to maintain those relationships.
Yes, before going to next question, just checking with you, Colette, is your do you hear all right, or is there any sound?
Oh, I can hear you just fine.
All right,
Yeah.
all right, that's fine. And
Yeah.
for our audience, let us know if you have any issues. I try my best to
You
fix it.
can, uh, you can put a little heart. That's helpful.
Exactly.
That's
You
helpful
can
on
just,
different stuff.
you can just say hi as well.
Or hi. Yeah.
Uh, Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, you mentioned about uh, the impact of AI, and nowadays we see, I don't know if it's related to AI or not, but yeah, company doing, and it's I think common before us, are doing restructuring. They reorganize, uh, suddenly team change overnight, or even our managers or manager leave, and there could be some difficult situation. How do you, or how can we stay focused and keep doing our best when these kind of things are happening, and like when everything around us changes suddenly?
Yeah. I'm going to answer this on two fronts. So I think the first front, in terms of change and these tough situations we find ourselves in, and then also I think just a bit of career advice. I know regardless of if you're a tech person or not. So number one, in terms of change, the biggest thing is to be adaptable and understand your own values and what is comfortable for you, what makes sense for you, the environment you want to be working in. uh, the reality is when there are tough times, perhaps at your job because your manager has left, or you have lost people at your company and you're one of these surviving people at your company, perhaps it can be tough, or your role has changed and perhaps you're doing something that is less ideal to what you wanted to be doing. Here's the reality: things do change, times change. But if you are finding it unbearable, or you are finding it like, you know what, I don't think things are getting better,
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
okay to take action and start looking. Now, it might not be an immediate, like, oh, I'm just going to leave this job, I'm going to leave, um, but planning it ahead of time, right?
Mm. And
It is okay to take action and not stay stuck, to be adaptable, whether it's in the situation you're in or to put yourself in a new situation. The second thing that I would say, just general career advice as well, getting yourself out there to speak. If you like public speaking, if you are able to take on opportunities, even at your own current job, to learn more and open up those doors of opportunity to be able to, pivot if you need to, if you find yourself in a situation that is not ideal. Um, with your career, it's good to start before you have to actually look, if you are forced in that position, uh, to be able to be agile and look. Are you able to hear me okay? I feel like I'm losing you. I'm hearing a lot of
yeah,
background sound. I apologize.
yeah, I'm all right from my side. Let
You can
me.
hear me okay?
Yes, yes, yes,
Oh,
yes.
okay. As long as I'm clear.
Yeah.
That's so odd. I
Um,
must be picking up something here in my headphones, but as long as you can hear me, I'm good. I can hear you.
yeah, same. Yeah, we can maybe ask our audience as well if you hear any background noise or
Yeah.
something. We can have a look. But yes, so far
Okay.
so good on my side.
Okay. Yeah, it's fine on my side too. You sound clear. I just want to make sure we're doing okay. So, very good.
Thank you so much for your answer. And just going back to that, um, the AI impacts or AI anxiety. I think not nowadays a lot of technical people have been experiencing it. That all right, they're looking at the news, what other people are doing, all the trends. Things are getting automated faster than even they catch up with the technology, and yeah, you can write codes, generate analysis, do everything. Of course, not completely yet, but what advice do you have for them or for us uh, in terms of like thinking too much about these things? Sometimes distracting. Sometimes I feel like myself half a day just thinking about these things, and um, distracted me instead of like having like reading at least about it or doing some
Sure.
work.
Yeah, it's easy to be, I think, caught up right now within the wave of everything AI related. And there is a lot of anxiety out there. It's a little bit contagious. I can't open my LinkedIn sometimes without seeing some doom and gloom related to it. I, I would say to just remember this with your own AI. There is a lot coming out in the market right now with AI. Is all of it going to stick? No. Uh, I say this even with AI enablement and when I'm consulting internally with our own AI enablement initiatives to really take a step back and think, hey, are we implementing AI because we really do need AI or automation? Or is this being done, because, oh, we're supposed to have AI? That's not a good reason to do it. We really need to think at the root issue of what we are trying to solve for and apply AI to that. And I think that is going to be more wide scale, especially with the cost of tokens and consumption and all the impacts of AI. I know right now it's very exciting and also anxiety ridden as well. I do think things are going to calm down though a bit. So that's one of my calm down in sense of us using AI more wisely and not having the
Right.
anxiety around it.
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah, every now and then on LinkedIn, people are sharing experience like in 3 years, in 5 years, people, senior people who they know how to code. Now they need companies need to hire them to fix vibe coders, for example.
Hmm.
Or so I think we are living in very interesting area, like time of the world, and
Hmm.
bit of uncertainty, but keen to know what's happened. Um, yeah. So, what's your advice? Yeah, like, well, I'm not sure if we covered that, but in terms of your idea, what does a technical career, a data engineer, AI engineer, software engineer, any kind of technical look like in 3 to 5 years for
Oh,
someone
yeah.
investing in layer versus someone who doesn't?
Yeah. I'm glad you asked that. Yeah,
Mm.
we've covered parts of it, but not
Yep.
directly. Where does it get you? The rate of technological advancement right now is incredibly rapid. We are just we're doing this right now, right? On the line, exponential. And learning the hard skills is important and we have to keep up with it. I'm always learning continuously and being adaptable in that mechanism. What is not going to change through all of this change is our basic human need. For a lot of us, we are uh, social creatures, lack of a better phrase. We do communicate, we work together, we collaborate. That has changed over many millennia. How we do and the work we're trying to get done together. That element, though, I don't see changing. Yes, we're going to have AI more and more part of our lives in terms of even probably managing AI agents, right? And just like we would with people, are very similar. But that human element of communication, listening, empathizing, building good working partnerships and relationships, these are skills that are going to be timeless. And if you can differentiate yourself to be able to build upon those with practice, just like you would with any technical skill, it takes practice. You have to practice. It's not just a one off of, oh, I was nice to this person today. And by the way, that's not what emotional intelligence is, just about being nice. It's about communication and having those honest and real conversations with people as well. But having that differentiator, that is going to help you in 3 to 5 years. If you rely exclusively on the technical and you don't have that other element, you're like, I'm just going to go it alone and I don't need other people and I don't need, to work on this. AI is catching up very quickly on the technical skills. There are things that I was doing years ago I would never imagine even doing manually today. There is a project that I did even just a few months ago, something I did with an analysis where that would have taken me a good, my goodness, I mean, it probably would have taken me about 30 hours. And I did it in about an hour and a half once I had the data ready because the AI was able to do the comparison and the logic and build a Python script in the background and do it
Right.
for me. So
That's yeah, well,
times are changing.
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's getting better and better. And yeah, just one note to our audience: drop your biggest workplace communication challenge in the chat, or any questions you have from Colette in terms of like our topic that we cover, or anything that you think we can cover or support. Um, Thank you so much, Colette. Uh, we uh, will be here for some more minutes. If we got any questions, please ask. And in terms of like, um, I think you mentioned about one of the book um, that you suggested or read. Uh, do you have any other book recommendation or
Yeah,
any?
I actually do have a book, and I was thinking about this for today because I bring I do always I usually have a recommended book, like a book I'm reading of the month. I make it a point to try and read one book a month. It doesn't always have to do with something that is technical or emotional intelligence related. The one topic I wanted to recommend for the audience today on Pipeline to Insights, and I read this a few years ago. It's called Introducing Game Theory, a graphic guide. It's by the economists Ivan and Tuvana Pastine. Now, the cover, if you look it up on Amazon or somewhere, you're going to see two hands holding chess pieces. But it isn't like about necessarily like playing games. It is about game theory, and it strips out a lot of the math. It's really like a non-mathematical introduction, which I don't mind math, but it's just like it's so easy to understand. It's a graphic novel, which as well, being kind of geeky myself, I love graphic novels, so and comics. It has it in that format, which is fun. It makes it fun to read. And it gives you, it reframes really the situations we handle into like a game, the situations that we encounter, whether it is in strategy, in business, negotiation, uh, investing, whatever it is, or trying to, uh, build authority or influence without authority when you don't have it. So it's not just applicable to work or technical people per se, but I really think this would be an enjoyable read for quite a few of us in this audience. I know it was for me, so I wanted to bring that. Honestly, I think I'm going to reread it. So
Nice, thank you so much. Yeah, I'll make sure I'll find it as well. And sure. And we talk about human skills from the beginning of this conversation. We covers a lot, but at this stage, I mean, right now, what do you think is the most underrated human skills in technical team?
yeah, well, just like the name suggests, so maybe I'm a bit biased, but empathy is
Empathy.
one of the skills I think is underrated. And when I mean empathy, I don't mean, I think especially for the folks on the call, there is this perception that it is always about feeling what the other person is feeling. No, cognitive empathy is really a big one that I think a lot of us can employ, where logically we're able to think through and understand what they are thinking or feeling without assuming and without having to fully feel it ourselves. If we can understand what our non technical stakeholders, the people absorbing our data, our end product, our process, whatever it is as technical folks, something we've engineered, if we can understand better from their perspective and empathize with them, especially when they get frustrated with something, something that is so easy for us, but for them, it's incredibly challenging. Being able to empathize with them, it's going to make you, a better data person, engineer, product manager, data analyst, process engineer, whatever your technical role is. It will make you better at what you do if you can empathize with others, especially those who are not in the same type of technical role.
Correct. And does empathy means being kind, very kind, or
I mean, that's definitely part of it. On the topic of kindness, though, I'll give an example, right? Where Empathy doesn't always, how do I put this? It's not always about being, nice necessarily. Maybe you have bad news to deliver to somebody, whatever it is, right? Like, I don't know, maybe you're laying off somebody, or, a medical professional has to give bad medical news, right? It is not kind to withhold that information necessarily, right? It is more empathetic to provide that information so they can take action and start to mentally process what that individual needs to do. Is that an act of unkindness? Well, I mean, you have to deliver a message that isn't necessarily pleasant, but on the flip side, right, that person might feel blindsided if it is kept from them. So, thinking about that, like empathetically, it's like, well, I would want to know. It's not great to hear, but I at least want to know. So, generally, yes, empathy is, I mean, in large part, is about being kind, understanding, and listening. I just want to make sure it's not mistaken, though, just for the audience here, with um, withholding saying something, because
Correct.
maybe it's not something that people want to hear. Sometimes it still needs to be said, and honestly and transparent.
Of course. Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for your explanation on that. And yeah, once again, if you got any questions, please feel free to ask. If you face any situation at your workplace, you experience something that is related to our discussion, you might think you could have done better, but no, you want to know how next time it happens, how you can deal with it. Yeah, just feel free to add, and don't forget to follow Colette for Substack, Empathy Elevated, and as she mentioned, that's the most underrated skill at the moment. So I'm sure she's going to share more about that on her
Yeah.
Substack. And um, anything you want to add, Colette, that I didn't ask, or you feel like you want to add?
You know, I
on-
think we've I think we've gone through quite a few really good questions, by the way, Irvin. Thank you so much for having me on. The last two things I just want to leave the audience with. Speaking of questions, I do read comments. I'm pretty active with notes. I do check my direct messages. If you think of a question after this, please reach out to me. In terms of upcoming projects, I'm probably going to be developing something more formal in terms of coaching available to work with people one on one. But for now, just have a quick question. Please ask me. Um, and then the last item, and I didn't get to address it through any of the questions, but I want to leave people with this thought about the dichotomy of control. And this is a concept from Stoicism, part of Stoic philosophy, attributed to Epictetus. And this is all about acknowledging what is in your control and what is not. And what is not in your control, letting it go, which I know can be very hard to do. I know for me, I do worry. I really think in a lot of details. Like, I see like 20 things at once. That comes with the nature of process engineering and data, but really like logically telling yourself, even like almost an affirmation, to let go what you cannot control, and worry about the things you can and make an impact and take the action you need, right? Well, not necessarily worry. I don't want you to be stress ridden, but you understand what I'm saying. Like, be concerned with things you can control, and the things you can't, you let them go. So ancient wisdom, thousands of years old, to apply to modern times.
Beautiful. Yeah, yeah, 100% agree. Yeah, let it. Yeah, let it go. If
You know,
too much, think too much about it. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, really love that. And yeah, I think we talked about your Substack, and besides Substack, where people can find you, Colette. I know your LinkedIn, your website. You wanna? Is there any?
yeah. Yeah, presently my website, my empathyelevated.com, it does point to my Substack. I will actually have a website going live soon. While I am a very technical person and I have done website design, I don't have a lot of time. So I do have somebody designing right now and doing that. I have outsourced that for now. Very good developer. So in touch with him, and we're about to get that live.
Yeah.
Um, and then you can find me, of course, on LinkedIn, Colette Molteni. I think I'm the only Colette Molteni in the world. So find me. And then Empathy Elevated, of course, my Substack. Even if you just Google Empathy Elevated, you'll see my posts come up. You can find me easily. My link to my LinkedIn is linked from my Substack, and website will be live soon. Those are the best places to find me. I am online pretty much every day, except when I'm at the far reaches of the earth. But even when I was in Australia, I was online. I wasn't that far. I was still live and around, just on a different time zone. So,
Yeah, I remember.
yep.
That's great. And yeah, feel free to reach out to Colette if you got any question, or to me. I can introduce if you
Yes.
for
Yeah.
this way,
Yeah.
especially if you're in Australia. Uh, Let me know. You also mentioned you're going to open some slot or times for one-on-one coaching, or you're doing it at the moment. Just out of curiosity.
I Yeah, I'm in the development phases right now just to figure out what that program would look like, but stay tuned. I'll be announcing that when it does go live.
I personally believe that, yeah, at regardless of in the stage, whether you're a senior or junior, I think we need to work on human skills. We need to learn if you want to grow, if you want to survive, if you want to like move forward. It's really good to learn about these skills, and our skills, not only technically but in terms of human uh, management, communications, and whatever we discussed. And college subset, I think, is one of my favorite in this area.
Oh, well, thank you.
I've been reading. No worries. Thank you for sharing your valuable experience. I've been reading your posts, your notes, and just sitting waiting for your notes,
Yeah.
and and each time, yeah, I believe I learn new. So don't forget to
Wonderful.
subscribe to her. And thank you so much, everyone. We got 1 more minute if you got any question. However, we're closing very soon. And yeah, thank you so much, everyone who joined us, for your time, for supporting my work, and of course, Colette work. And anything, the last thing you want to add, Colette, or
Yeah. I say conversely, Pipeline Insights is one of my favorites. Please go and read. I'm sure you already know about our friend Substack if you're here. Or well, actually, I do see a few folks who read Empathy Elevated on here. So welcome. Thank you for being here, everybody, this afternoon, and well, for North America, and then early morning if you're in Australia or New Zealand. And yeah, I'm online frequently, so please reach out. You have any questions or comments? And Irfan, thank you so much for having me on today. It's been an absolute delight to be here.
my My pleasure. I appreciate that. Thank you for your time. And yeah, as always, we'll publish the recording later in the week or today, with you guys questions there as well in the comments. And yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Colette. And I'll see you in our next live session. Have a
That
nice
sounds
day.
great. You too. Sounds great. Have a good day. Bye.